Greetings, humans. Okay, I got something very important to talk about today, and that is that the IC solution allowed me to finally quit drinking for good. And you may be thinking, well, that's not a big deal. A lot of people quit drinking for good, but I'm a different person. The alcoholism that was affecting me, I always drank since probably about the age of 15, and I always thought, through high school and college or whatever, I thought I was doing it because I was partying and having fun. But, afterwards, as my friends who were partying and whatnot with me started to calm down and drinking less, I continued to drink more and more and more. And there was because there was something inside of me that just never felt right. Like I was always had this level of discomfort, this level of anxiety, this level of dis-ease with the world, and alcohol was the only thing that made me feel right. And then it was, but of course, I wasn't an alcoholic. That's ridiculous. That's pathetic. People with alcoholism have absolutely no willpower until it happened to me. At the age of about 35, there came a time when something just flipped inside of me. And if I had one single drink, I was gone. Like within a few hours, I would be hitting vodka, my drink of choice, and I would start drinking vodka 24/7. Like, and when I say 24/7, I guess that doesn't really count when I'm sleeping, but if I woke up in the middle of the night, I would search for that bottle underneath my pillow and hope that there was some and drink. Because basically, if I was awake, I was looking, searching for alcohol or actually drinking it. And it wasn't like some fancy vodka. I was a total cheapskate. Gordon's vodka, half pints, 225, and they were everywhere. Um, and I bought half pints because I was going to quit by the next one always. But then there was the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, next one. I mean, so many every single day until my body was break down. I'd be on the brink of death, and I'd head into a detox, maybe some rehabs, and then try my best to hang on and stay sober. And then I couldn't because this voice inside my head started screaming, "Go get a drink! Go get a drink! You're a piece of shit! Go get a drink! You're no good! Drink, 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 drink!" And it was like just this other loud voice when my soft voice was, "I'm never going to drink again because it's going to kill me." And I was very confident about that when I walked out. And then before too long, I would lose confidence in that because this other voice got louder and louder and louder and louder. And over from the age of 35 to 43, I failed 16 times going to detoxes and a couple rehabs. 16 times I landed myself in the loony bin. And it was really messed up. It was a really, really tough time because I wanted so much to quit drinking. And I literally had people tell me that my therapist, my doctors, my nurses, everyone said, you're gonna die. People that have gotten as bad as you do not live. And it was scary shit because I didn't want to die. So I was doing so much research to try and figure out a way out, and I was doing, all the AA support meetings. I was doing work with therapists, work with cognitive behavioral therapists, work with all my independent research, reading all sorts of books, and nothing out there worked. And then one day I figured out, well, actually, it's kind of funny because my sponsor, I was working with a sponsor in AA, and he loved me. I mean, and I loved him, and he was always there for me. But basically, because he loved me, one day he said, "Roger, you're fired. I can't continue to do this because I just keep on allowing you to be in this spiral. You got to find something else." And he kind of meant you got to find another sponsor. But what I heard was I got to find another program because the 12 steps of AA was killing me. And what come to find out, I saw one statistic that AA fails 92% of the time. And I'd been told over and over again that that was the only way. And inside the book of AA, it basically says, if you fail at this system, you are constitutionally incapable of being honest with yourself. And so I'm like, oh, well, not only am I a piece of shit alcoholic, I'm also a freaking liar. So yeah, I felt really great about myself. So I had to find something else, and nothing else out there was working until I did find something else, a totally new way to go about thinking of things. And I've been working on it for 9 years, and it basically went from like a huge novel. Like I've been through so many sciences, and it started. Uh, I started when I started. Basically, it began like this. That I realized one day when I was spiraling downward that you're a piece of shit. You can't handle this life. And then I had kids at this time, like who I love so much. And you would think, oh well, he has kids. Why would he drink? He's such a piece of shit. He doesn't drink. But for an alcoholic, you probably understand that if once you can't handle the weight of your own life, then all of a sudden having to take care of kids. I had a 3-year-old and two twins that hadn't gotten to be one yet. That was when I quit drinking. When they're about turning about one. But it's like I can't take care of myself, and now I've got this burden of taking care of these precious things that I love so much. There's no way I can do that. So that voice inside of me said, "No way you can do this. You're a piece of shit. Drink, 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 drink." So that voice got louder and louder and louder and louder. So here I was over here with this default perspective, and this kind of getting to the heart of the IC solution, where I believed that these voices inside my head, these contradictory voices inside my head, were all my own. Okay, so this voice is screaming, this is me when I'm getting out of the detox, say, never drink again. You're gonna die. You want to live. You're worthy of life, and you're a good person, and you're a capable person. You can do this. And this other voice, which I also believed was my own voice, was screaming, you're not capable. You're not worthy. You're a piece of shit. Now drink, 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 because that's the only solution. That's the only escape from the hell that you live in and the piece of shit that you are. Okay, that's where I was before. And then it dawned on me this IC perspective. It didn't dawn on me fully. What first dawned on me is that when I was spiraling downward, I was like, oh my gosh, I've got, this was March 14th, 2017. I was above a laundry basket, and I was like spiraling down, holding on to it, thinking, "Oh my gosh, I'm a piece of shit. I'm a loser. I can't handle this life, and I gotta drink. I just got to do it. I gotta escape this." And then all of a sudden, something hit me. It's like, wait a second, what the fuck am I talking about? What is going on? All these things that was spinning around in my head, I did not decide upon. I did not decide that I was a piece of shit. I did not decide that I was a loser. I was not decide that everyone hates me. I did not decide that I was worse than everyone. But something inside me did. So at that moment, I knew that everything spinning around my subconscious in this chaos of the subconscious was a complete freaking lie. And I started researching what put the lies there. And over a long period of research, and all the scientists, mainly studying I'm an engineer, so I basically am okay at reading scientific papers. I'm not scientific level scientist, but I can understand scientific work, and I can simplify it to make products for humans. That's kind of what I do. And so I was kind of suited for this because I was in the position. I was a soldier in the trenches. I understood alcoholism as how it affects a person because you know that's me. And then I also had experience in taking things that scientists made and turning them into things that humans can use. So this kind of gave me the lock to not be stuck in one of the different scientists. So it's one of the different disciplines of science. So I was studying neurology, psychology, and behavioral economics, strangely enough, and a bunch of other one and spiritualism and all this stuff. I mean, but because I drank so much, I forgot most of it. But I was able to put some pieces together on graded puzzles. And I found this way to start looking at who we are, a different way to start looking at myself. And that was that I wasn't all that was going on in my subconscious. In fact, there was a completely separate, intelligent entity inside of my head. You get this? This is big. This is big. Not only was I being controlled by a subconscious that was filled with lies, But down here, this little guy who I'm calling the instinctual core, you might have heard of this as kind of your a primitive reactive brain. But I don't want to be calling this a brain because a brain is kind of that's your brain. Then it's yours. We name it after what it's evolved from our instincts, a culmination of all our survival instincts. But it's more than just a culmination of the instinct because it has access to this subconscious brain. It uses a brain. So it has an agenda and it has its own brain that you do not have direct control over. So when you start to look at it as a separate entity, something magical happens. All of a sudden, you realize you got a co-pilot inside your head, a co-pilot that's trying to crash you into the woods. Now, why would this instinctual core that is basically there for your survival because it's made of a culmination of your survival instincts, why would you want to separate from this guy? Because it's made for a primitive world, a prehistoric world, Stone Ages, caveman days, and everything it does would make perfect sense in that world. But that is not the world we live in at all. And it has no idea how to adapt. It has no idea how to change to the million-fold change in people, in area that we've got to deal with, in issues that we've got to deal with. And it doesn't understand that the threats that it used to deal with that were a matter of life and death then aren't really even a fraction of life and death. Like, a simple example that I bring up a long time because I had a lot of social anxiety, like fear of getting up on a public speaking. Oh my God, it was scary as death, right? But it made sense, a whole bunch of sense for the instinctual core to make me feel that fear because when you lived in a tribe of 100, if you went to the tribal elders and all of a sudden started saying, no, you got to start listening, you all have to start listening to me, I'm the right one, then you could basically get tossed out of your tribe. And in that world, being alone meant death. So getting up on a stage, it's as scary as death because that is exactly what it meant. It could very well have meant back then if you get out of your place in the pecking order. So getting up on stage, like in first grade when I get up on stage and say recite Baba Had a Little Lamb to 100 people, there's an instinctual. I thought, I'm a shy little kid. I know when I think back to it, I was a shy kid. I was scared, and so I ran away. No, there was this thing inside of me, this instinctual core that said, "Don't you dare fucking get up on that stage because you're gonna die." So literally, I took off, ran out of this when my name was announced because I didn't want to tell people, "Oh, I'm afraid. I can't do this." So, but when my name was announced, the instinctual core took over and I ran out of that school, ran across the schoolyard, jumped over a crickety fence, swam across a canal, ran all the way home, hid in my closet. No one found me for 6 hours, but I was safe and I didn't die on top of while making that speech, although I almost died while doing all the stuff getting home, but who cares about that? Point is, I was hijacked by the instinctual core, and that is what I now realize the instinctual core was still trying to do in my life. It was telling me to like, of course I like to drink for the party like the other kids back that my buddies that I drank with in college, but then there was something else more because there was this underlying layer of anxiety, social anxiety, economic anxiety, financial anxiety, just generalized anxiety. And because the instinctual core saw these things as whatever, life as a big survival threat. And once I realized it's full of shit, and I could break down. I will show you a little bit of a breakdown how we use the user's guide to help people break down. Come on, pop up. Bum, 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 bum. You don't need to know all this stuff. Just trying to bring it directly from this. Okay, here we have the user's guide, and with this, this comes of the culmination of different scientists over the different years. How I put a lot of different work from a lot of different work from a lot of different specialists into this one simple thing that we can all understand. And involves our kind of the inputs that come into our head through the activation filter, and all inputs, sight, sound, smell, taste, but also our internal inputs, thoughts, memories, expectations, come through here, and they first get to pass through the activation filter of the threats that the instinctual core is looking for. And if it senses a threat, and I don't, this is not the interactive version, but we can, there is an interactive version, so we can all investigate our instinctual cores together in the IC meetup. So let me take a break and tell you that. First of all, if you're liking this video, like it, and you better be liking it, please. Subscribe. I'm talking about some great stuff, how you guys can come out, how I overcame addiction, anxiety, depression, a whole bunch of stuff, but how basically this new way of thinking, this new perspective can be a way to change any habits in your life. So if you want to get involved in that, subscribe, because I'm putting this out every day. But most importantly, jump on over to instinctcenter.com, where you can really truly start to understand what's going on here, why the instinctual core is getting freaked out, sending us fear, anger, and when we have failure, it's sending us hate and sadness. And when there's so many fires going on, it sends us stress. And then when it needs to attain the false treats in our life, like food and alcohol, it sends us craving. And the whole time it's telling us what a piece of shit with the demands, with judgments and demands to go do something to take care of it, to go do one of three things: destroy the threat, avoid the threat, or attain the treat. That's simple. I mean, but you can see how this can be worked out. But once you start to see when it's starting to hijack you, you can catch it and then move everything up to these upper levels, these higher levels of human where we work. When we work with a higher level of productivity, a higher level of happiness, when we start taking care of things up here in our realms of intrigue, appreciation, engagement, self-improvement, and purpose. Now, we've got what's called and I worked forever to develop this, but here's the acronym called RADAR, and this is what can be used where you can see how you can analyze how you're being hijacked and get to a place where you start to retrain and say, no, little instinctual core, you ain't taking me over today. And then the process of ROAR, after you start to let its emotions pass through, you still want to go on with life in a highly functional, much more happy way. We have a process called ROAR, and eventually you can move from a life forced by your IC, your instinctual core, which looks like this, where you're constantly in a state of stress and panic and fear and whatnot, but you're getting shit done because it's forcing you to a life chosen by you, where you still get just as much shit done, but it's because you want to, and you're enjoying it, and you're engaging in life, and every activity becomes an interesting and intriguing challenge, and it's filled with appreciation and just what we call the science of flow, where you get into the things that you're doing because you want to be there, you want it, and at the same time you're improving upon yourself and improving on something greater, self-improvement and purpose. So the point is, this IC solution saved my life, and it wasn't until I went through everything else that didn't work that I had to come and figure out something else on my own. And I now am ready, after a whole bunch of work, to share it with the world. So again, like this, subscribe to this, but come join me at theinstinctcenter.com. You'll see we have daily IC meetups, instinctual core investigation meetups. You'll learn how to use the user's guide interactively, so you can break down when the IC is taking over you. And yeah, we got a whole bunch of stuff, and it's all free. Yeah, free, pretty good price, right? So that is all I got for you today. Thanks for showing up, and I hope to be working with you soon so that we can continue to improve upon ourselves together. Thanks a lot. Peace out. I'm going to look over here and press the stop button. Then I'll say, peace out.